Magandang araw sa inyong lahat and welcome to today's lesson on key concepts in pediatrics, where we will be focusing on the assessment and observation of newborns. As future healthcare professionals, understanding the neuromuscular development of the newborn is crucial for identifying normal growth patterns and potential concerns early on. So in this lesson, we will begin with neuromuscular assessments, where we will be exploring how newborns develop muscle tone, their strength, and even coordination. After that, we will dive into newborn reflexes, where we discuss primitive reflexes that are present at birth, such as the Moro reflex, the rooting reflex, and the roles of these reflexes in assessing the neurological functioning of the newborn. Aside from that, we will also be examining the general appearance of the newborn, and we will be covering topics like skin color, the posture of the newborn, and even body proportions. And finally, the last topic for this video will be a discussion on newborn birthmarks, where we explore the different common types of birthmarks such as Mongolian spots, hemangioma, and their clinical significance. So all throughout this session, you will gain valuable insights that will enhance your ability to conduct a thorough newborn assessment and provide high-quality care to your pediatric patients. So please prepare your handouts and your ball pen so that you can follow along our discussion. Let us begin. As future nurses and midwives, we always have to remember to assess the neuromuscular system of the neonates dahil po importante ito. Now, if you ask me, sir, bakit po importante that we assess the neuromuscular system of the newborns? Importante ito because demonstrating control over the body movements is a sign that the neuromuscular system of the neonate is already mature or developed or there is no abnormality. Lagi niyong tatandaan that any absence of movements in the neonate is considered abnormal and should be reported to the doctor. Now, meron pong mga pagkakataon that you will see the newborns twitching or flailing even without the presence of stimulus. What will you do if that happens? You have to remember that twitching or flailing movements, even without the presence of external stimulus, are often attributed to the immaturity of the newborn's nervous system. So that means that the twitching and flailing movements of the newborn are just normal and should not be reported to the doctor, and that will improve once the newborn's nervous system will already be developed. Now, meron din tayong ina-assess na tinatawag nating reflexes. We also assess reflexes when we are talking about the neuromuscular system. Now, what are reflexes? Newborn reflexes are defined as involuntary movements or actions that are present at birth, and they are crucial indicators of the baby's neurological health. Now, these reflexes are automatic responses to specific stimuli, and they help assess the proper functioning of the newborn's nervous system. Ito po ay mga movements sa katawan ng mga bata that are involuntary and automatic as a response to a certain stimulus. And these reflexes are what we assess to determine the neuromuscular system of the neonate. Now, I want you to remember that reflexes are essential for evaluating the newborn's neuromuscular development and their ability to interact with the world. Lagi nyo ding tatandaan that these reflexes are temporary. Maaaring present sila during the newborn period, but they will disappear as the infant or as the child grows up. So like I said, these reflexes are temporary and they serve specific functions or purposes during the early stages of the life of the neonate, and they are also a sign of developing nervous system. Now, reflexes such as the Moro reflex, pag-uusapan din natin mamaya yung rooting reflex, and even the grasping reflex, these are key indicators of the neuromuscular functions of the neonate and are regularly assessed to detect any abnormalities in the newborn's nervous system and even the muscular development. Now, lagi dapat ninyong tatandaan yung mga reflexes na to. Dapat you know them by heart because aside from the fact that they come out in the board exams, recognizing these early reflexes will also help ensure timely interventions if they are necessary. So, ire-report nyo sa doctor po yung mga presence ng mga abnormalities or mga absences of these reflexes kung alam nyo by heart yung mga topics natin on reflexes. So, like I said a while ago, we will be having a discussion about the newborn reflexes and what is normal and abnormal, what's reportable and not reportable when we're speaking about the neuromuscular system. So let's begin studying the different reflexes found in the neonate. All right. So let us learn the different reflexes that are found in the neonates. Number one is the blinking reflex. And the blinking reflex is an automatic and rapid closing of the eyelids when an object or stimuli comes near the newborn's eyes. Lagi yung tatandaan that this reflex helps to protect the eyes from potential harm such as foreign objects, bright lights, or any sudden movements that could cause injury to the newborn's eyes. So ito po yung blinking reflex, and it is a fundamental defense mechanism that begins at birth and remains active throughout the lifespan. So ibig sabihin, hindi po nawawala ang ating blinking reflex. The newborn's ability to blink also serves as a protective barrier for the eyes, keeping them safe from environmental irritants such as dusts or bright stimuli that may be overwhelming for the sensitive eyes of an infant. And the blinking reflex also plays a role in eye lubrication and also prevents dryness of the eyes. So this reflex is vital in the first few months, especially when the babies are still adjusting to their environment, including the exposure to light and other visual stimuli. So like I said, the blinking reflex is present from the day the child is born up to the dying breath of that person. All right? So the next topic po is what we call the rooting reflex. Now, it is a favorite in the board exams, ang ating pong rooting reflex, so you have to remember them. The rooting reflex is triggered when the baby's cheeks or corner of the mouth is stroked gently or touched, typically by the caregiver's finger or any object. So dito po, in response, the newborns will instinctively turn their head towards that stimulus. They will open their mouth and make sucking motions. So, lagi niyong tatandaan na ang rooting reflex po is crucial for helping newborns find the breast or bottle for feeding as it directs their movements towards the food source. And the rooting reflex is one of the first steps in the development of feeding behavior, which assists the babies in initiating breastfeeding or bottle feeding. So, importante po ang rooting reflex kasi during those times, hindi pa po nakakakita yung bata. And for the baby to be able to find food, you have to elicit the rooting reflex so that the baby will know what direction to turn to. Okay? So like I said, this reflex is especially significant during the early days of life when the baby's vision is not yet fully developed. And by 6 weeks po, the rooting reflex will slowly begin to diminish or mawawala na po as the baby starts to develop more controlled movements and they already start to rely on visual cues to locate or latch onto the nipple or the bottle. So during that time, nakakakita na po kasi yung bata, kaya hindi na po kailangan yung rooting reflex for their feeding, kaya mawawala na po yung rooting reflex. So like I said, rooting reflex is touching the cheek or the corner of the mouth. The newborn will turn to that direction. Tawag po natin doon is rooting reflex. We also have what we call the sucking reflex. Now, itong reflex na to, the sucking reflex is activated when an object such as a nipple or a finger touches the baby's lips, specifically the lower lips po. Now, when something touches the lower lips of the baby, this prompts the newborn to begin a rhythmic sucking motion. So, dahil po sa merong stimulus dito sa lips, si baby po automatic na magsasak na po yan. So, this reflex is fundamental to feeding, which allows the infant to obtain nourishment from the breastfeeding or bottle feeding. So, the sucking motion po also stimulates the release of milk from the breast or the bottle, and it will also help facilitate the baby's nutrition. Kaya po ang sucking reflex, importante po ito because it helps to establish the nutrition in the neonate. Now, the strength and efficiency of the sucking reflex are early indicators of the infant's neurological health and can signal how well the baby is feeding. Kaya nga po nire-report natin sa mga doktor if the baby has a good suck or not, kasi nga po yung sucking reflex is also an indicator of their neuromuscular health. Now, in the first few months of life, the sucking reflex is involuntary and automatic. So, ibig sabihin, when a stimulus touches the lower lips of the baby, automatic na magsasak na po yung bata. But with the newborn having little control over it, but as the baby matures, this reflex gradually becomes more voluntary and coordinated. So hindi na po kailangan ng neonate yung kanyang sucking reflex kasi kaya na po niyang i-control yung kanyang bibig. So it will allow the baby to develop a more consistent and controlled feeding pattern as the baby grows up. Now, the reflex also helps to strengthen the muscles that are involved in sucking, which will also be important for speech development later on in life. So, the more po na nagsasak yung bata, the more din po na nag-i-improve yung kanyang mga facial muscles, and yan po yung mga gagamitin din niyang muscles when the child will already start to communicate or use words later on in life. So, yan po yung mga first three reflexes natin, the blinking reflex, the rooting reflex, and even the sucking reflex. Let us also discuss the swallowing reflex, okay? So the swallowing reflex in newborns is triggered when food, liquid, or even saliva reaches the posterior or the back portion of the baby's tongue. So anong mangyayari po dito pag yung food, liquid, or saliva touches the back portion or the posterior portion of the baby's tongue? So the baby automatically swallows any substance to prevent it from entering the airway and to ensure safe feeding. So any food that reaches the posterior portion of the tongue is automatically swallowed para hindi na po siya pumunta sa airway. Now this reflex is essential for the newborns to feed effectively and is an essential component of the baby's early feeding behaviors. Now, lagi nyo ding tatandaan na alongside the swallowing reflex, there is what we call the gagging, the coughing, and sneezing reflexes. They work together to protect the newborn's airway from any foreign materials that could obstruct the breathing or causing choking on our neonatal patients. Okay? So the gag reflex will help to clear the throat when something touches the back of the throat or back of the mouth. So, kunwari, meron kang something na na-lodge dito po, maggagag po kayo. And the coughing and sneezing reflex also helps to clear irritants that are present in the airway, further ensuring that babies can safely take in milk without obstruction or even respiratory distress. So, protective reflexes po ang gagging, coughing, and sneezing reflex, which will also help clear the airway para po maganda pa rin yung air exchange ng ating mga pasyente and even their swallowing. Like I said, these three reflexes work together to establish a secure feeding and breathing pattern that continues to evolve as the baby grows up. Alright? So we also talk about the extrusion reflex next. Ang extrusion reflex po occurs when an object is placed on the front or the anterior portion of the newborn's tongue. So dito po, in response, the baby automatically pushes the object out of their mouth by extending their tongue. So parang iluluwa po ng bata, anything that touches the anterior portion of the tongue, the child will extrude it or iluluwa po niya. So this is what we call the extrusion reflex. Now, bakit ba may extrusion reflex yung bata? This reflex serves as a protective mechanism to prevent the baby from swallowing anything that is not edible or safe for ingestion. Such as kunwari, nakahawak siya ng inedible na material like coins and the baby places it on the mouth. If this object touches the anterior portion of the tongue, the newborn will automatically reject it or push it using the tongue. Okay, so the extrusion reflex is particularly important po during the early stages of life when the baby's digestive system is still developing and when the baby is only capable of consuming liquids or breast milk or formula milk. Kaya during that time po na hindi pa niya kaya na i-digest yung mga substances na to and the baby places them on their mouth, the extrusion reflex is present to protect the baby from swallowing that substance. Okay? So, kailan po siya nawawala yung extrusion reflex po? Around 4 months of age, this reflex gradually fades as the baby starts to transition to solid foods. So, kailangan na pong mawala ng ating extrusion reflex so that the baby can already start to consume solid foods kasi pag meron pa rin yung kanyang extrusion reflex, the baby will automatically push out or extrude those foods that are touching the anterior portion of the tongue. Okay? So with this change po, the baby will already begin to learn how to accept and swallow solid foods voluntarily, and the reflexive pushing out of solid foods already stops. So wala na po yung diretsong iluluwa ng bata yung mga pagkain because the baby is already ready to accept yung mga solid foods na ibibigay natin sa kanya. So mawawala na po yan at 4 months of life. Now, we also have what we call the palmar grasp reflex. Okay? So, ang palmar grasp reflex natin is seen when the newborn's palms is stimulated by an object, causing them to close their fingers tightly around it. Kaya po siya tinawag na palmar grasp reflex kasi it happens on the palms and then the newborn will grasp at anything that is stimulating their palms. Okay? So, they will close their fingers tightly around the object stimulating the palms of the baby. Okay? So this reflex is strong enough that a baby may hold onto the caregiver's finger, often unintentionally gripping it. So usually, no, pag yung bata nakikipaglaro ka, they will grip or grasp your fingers which stimulate their palms. Okay? So it is thought to be an evolutionary trait that may have once helped the infants to cling to their mothers for safety and support. Lagi niyong tatandaan that this reflex is typically present at birth and it serves as an early indicator of the neurological health and development of the newborn. And as the baby's brain and muscles mature, yung palmar grasp reflex po mawawala yan at 5 to 6 months of life. And by this time, the babies can begin already to develop voluntary control over their hands pag 5 to 6 months na po sila, and the palmar grasp reflex becomes disappears, and the movements of the palms of the newborn already becomes more intentional. Hindi na po siya automatic, and they already start to reach, hold, and manipulate objects in the environment, kaya nawawala na po yung palmar grasp reflex. Alright? So, we also have what we call the step or the walking reflex or the walk-in reflex. Okay? So, ang step or walk-in reflex po is displayed when a newborn is held in an upright position, and then yung feet nila, it touches a hard surface. Okay? And what will happen if the newborn's soles of the feet touches a hard surface? They cause them to make alternating stepping motions as if attempting to walk. Okay? So, ang mangyayari is that you hold the baby upright and then try to make the baby stand on their feet. Now, pag yung paa po ng bata na-touch po yung hard surface, the child will automatically start to parang walk or magmamarch po siya. Now, this reflex is also known as the pre-walking reflex, okay? And is present at birth, and it is a sign of the baby's ability to coordinate movements between their legs and can sometimes be mistaken for an early attempt at walking. So, sasabihin ng nanay, "Sir, alam mo, pinapatayo ko yung bata pero nagsistart na siyang magmarcha." Okay? So, always remember na it is purely reflexive yung movement na yon, and it is not actually an intentional action. So, ibig sabihin po, this reflex is part of the early motor development of infants, and it provides an initial groundwork for future voluntary movement patterns such as walking. So, ibig sabihin, pag yung bata po ay pag nilagay mo yung kanyang paa, nilapag mo yung kanyang paa at nagmamarcha pa yan, ibig sabihin, hindi pa po siya ready to bear their own weight or hindi pa kayang kargahin ng kanyang mga dalawang paa yung weight ng bata, kaya po siya nagmamarcha to tell you that they are not yet ready to stand on their own 2 feet. Now, this step reflex gradually will disappear by around 3 months of age, and at which point the baby starts to gain more control over their balance and muscle tone, and they're already prepared for the next developmental milestone such as bearing their weight and standing with support by 4 months. So, ibig sabihin, kailangang mawala ng step or walk-in reflex kapag ready na po yung bata to bear their weight and to start walking or standing on their own 2 feet. Pero kapag bata pa po masyado yung ating neonates, ay hindi pa po kaya yung kanyang mga paa na i-bear yung buong weight, kaya the step or walk-in reflex is still present during that time. Alright? So, remember these things because they come up in the board exams and they are also needed for your newborn assessments. Alright, tignan natin yung mga reflexes natin. In the swallowing reflex, kung ito yung tongue ng bata, Anything that touches the posterior portion or the back part of the tongue gets swallowed by the baby. That's what we call the swallowing reflex. Yung picture po na nakikita nyo is the extrusion reflex. Anything that touches the anterior portion of the tongue gets extruded, and it is a protective reflex that prevents the child from swallowing any inedible substances. Ito naman po yung tinatawag natin na palmar grasp reflex. When you stimulate the palms of the newborn, they grasp their fingers on it as if to grip the object that you use to stimulate the palms of their hands. Ito naman po yung tinatawag natin na step or walking reflex. It is a pre-walking reflex which tells you that the baby is not yet ready to stand on their own 2 feet. So dito po, you will let the baby try to stand on their own 2 feet. And when their feet touches a hard surface, they will automatically march or try to walk. Kaya siya tinawag na step or walk-in reflex. And kailangang mawala yan at 3 months of life when the baby already starts to bear their own weight at 4 months. Okay? We also have what we call the placing reflex. So dito po paano siya ginagawa. So when the baby's anterior surface of their legs touches a hard surface, the newborn takes a quick lifting motion as if to step on the table. So dito po, the placing reflex is observed when the front part of their legs makes contact with a solid surface. So kunwari ito yung legs ng bata, and this is the table. So you let the anterior portion or front portion of their feet touch a hard surface. They will try to lift their feet as if to step on the table. Okay? So, in response to that stimulus po na natatouch yung kanilang legs with a hard surface, the newborn will automatically lift their foot as if trying to step up on that surface. Now, bakit po siya significant? The placing reflex is a precursor to voluntary walking and motor control of the lower limbs. So, ibig sabihin ay kailangan po yung ating mga placing reflex so that the newborn will gain control of their lower extremities. And it is often considered as part of the early development of the motor skills of the neonate, which will help the infant learn to coordinate between the movements of their legs and feet. Lagi niyong tatandaan that the placing reflex helps the baby begin to understand how to react to surfaces, and it also prepares them for future motor milestones like standing and walking. Lagi niyong ding tatandaan, that this reflex, yung placing reflex po natin, typically fades when the newborn already begins to have control of their lower extremities and they can already start to bear their weight and their legs begin to walk already. So mawawala na po yung placing reflex if the baby can already bear their own weight or kaya na niyang tumayo sa kanyang mga paa, and also they begin to walk, mawawala na po ang placing reflex. We also have what we call the plantar grasp reflex. So pareho lang po siya ng palmar grasp, pero dito po sa paa po siya nangyayari. Now, in the plantar grasp reflex, it is triggered when the sole of the newborn's foot is gently touched or stimulated, which causes the toes to curl inward and grasp the object, much like how the baby's hands will curl around an object in the palmar grasp reflex. So, itong reflexes na po ito, it is thought to be a protective reflex which ensure that the infant can hold on to the caregiver for support during this time. It also serves as an indicator for the development of the neurological pathways of the infant's spinal cord and brain. So, ibig sabihin po, pag may palmar grasp yung plantar grasp yung bata po, ibig sabihin that their lower extremity is connected up until the brain. Okay, so ibig sabihin, maganda po yung development of their neurological pathways in their spinal cord kapag present po yung plantar grasp sa mga bata. Ibig sabihin, connected yung kanyang paa sa kanyang utak. Okay, so the plantar grasp reflex is also typically present at birth, and they gradually disappear at around 9 to 12 months as the baby's motor control will already mature. And dito po, as the baby begins to walk and develop voluntary foot movement, nawawala na po or nagfe-fade na po yung plantar grasp reflex, and it is replaced by more controlled and purposeful movements of the feet and the toes. So yan po yung tinatawag natin na plantar grasp. Any object touching the sole of the newborn's foot, the toes will grasp in the same manner as the fingers do. Plantar grasp reflex po ang tawag natin doon. We also have what we call the tonic neck reflex. So itong tonic neck reflex po, it is also known as the fencing reflex or the boxer reflex. Okay, so dito po, the tonic neck reflex, like I said, is also known as the fencing or the boxer reflex. And it occurs when when a newborn who is in supine position is turned to one side. So paano pong gagawin? Papahigahin po natin yung bata and then we turn them to one side, yung kanilang head, ito-turn po natin sa isang side, okay? In response to that stimulus, the arms and legs of the same side of the head where the baby is facing will extend. So yung kung saan siya nakaharap, mag-extend po yung kanyang kamay at paa. And then on the other side po, where the baby is not facing, dito po ay magko-contract or magfo-fold yung kanyang extremities. Okay, so ulitin po natin ha. In response to the movement of the head going to the side, the arm and leg on the same side of the head will extend, while the arm and the leg of the opposite side will also flex. Okay, creating a stance or a posture that resembles a fencer that is preparing to lunge or move forward. Okay, so tignan po natin yung ating mga pictures so that you will understand these reflexes even better. Okay? So ito po yung tinatawag natin na placing reflex. So if the anterior portion of the baby's feet touches a hard surface, they will try to lift their feet as if to step on the table. So that will prepare the baby for the movements of walking and bearing their weight. Ito naman po yung tinatawag natin na plantar grasp reflex. Any object that is placed on the sole of the foot, the newborn's toes will try to grasp on it. So mag-curl po yung toes niya. Ito naman po yung tinatawag natin na tonic neck reflex. We place the baby on a supine position and then turn the baby's head to one side. They will extend their extremity to the side where the baby is facing and then curl or fold the extremity where the baby is not facing. Tawag natin dyan tonic neck reflex or fencing and boxer reflex kasi parang nagfe-fencing po or nakikipag-boxing yung bata. Alright? The next reflex that we will be discussing is what we call the Moro reflex. So ano ba ang Moro reflex? You always remember that this is also known as the startle reflex. So dito po, the Moro reflex is an involuntary response that occurs when a newborn is startled or nagugulat by a sudden noise or a sudden movement or there is a sensation of falling, nagmo-Moro reflex po yung bata. So dito po, the baby reacts by suddenly extending their arms and legs outward, followed by bringing their arms back towards their body. That is often accompanied by crying. So parang gumaganon po yung bata, nagugulat po siya. So this reflex is believed to be a protective mechanism and it also helps the newborn to grasp onto the caregiver in an unexpected event. Okay? So yung Moro reflex po natin is fully present at birth and is one of the first reflexes that we observe in the newborn. So yung bata, pag nagugulat po, gumaganon, tawag po natin doon na ina-abduct niya yung kanyang hands and arms and legs, tawag po natin doon is the Moro reflex. Now, kailan siya nawawala? The Moro reflex typically disappears at 4 to 6 months of age as the baby's neurological system already starts to mature and they begin to gain better control of their other body movements. Okay? Pero pag yung Moro reflex po, nagpe-persist siya beyond the typical age range of 4 to 6 months, kunwari 1-year-old na yung bata at siya ay meron pa ring Moro reflex, you have to report it to the doctor because it may be a sign of a neurological issue. Okay, i-report po natin kapag yung Moro reflex po ay nag-extend beyond 4 to 6 months. We also have what we call the Babinski reflex. Okay? So yung Babinski reflex po natin, it occurs when the sole of the newborn's foot is stroked with a particular pattern na letter J. And ang mangyayari po is that the newborn will try to fan their toes outward. Okay? So dito po, we stroke the sole of the foot. Kunwari ito yung paa ng bata. We stroke the sole of the foot with an inverted letter J. And as a response to that stimulus, the newborn's feet will fan out. Okay? So that is their expected response. The toes fan outward and the big toe may even curl upward. Okay, so this reflex po is normal and it is an expected finding in infants. And it indicates the immaturity of the nervous system and the development of the spinal cord pathways. However, lagi niyong tatandaan na ang Babinski reflex po ay nawawala at 12 months of age as the nervous system matures. But if the reflex persists after the first year of life, it can be indicative of a neurological disorder which should be reported to the doctor kasi abnormal po ang Babinski reflex kapag present po siya in adults. We also have what we call the magnet reflex. Ano naman po ang magnet reflex? The magnet reflex is assessed by applying gentle pressure to the sole of a newborn's feet while they are lying in a supine position. So dito po, in response, the baby will push back against the pressure. So kunwari nakahiga yung bata, pinahiga mo yung bata, you will hold their feet and then you try to exert pressure on the soles of their feet. Okay? So ang mangyayari po, the baby will try to push back against the pressure, often extending their legs and feet. So pag itutulak mo towards the knee, chest yung bata, itutulak din niya yung kanyang paa, parang nire-repel kanya. Okay? So this reflex is significant because it demonstrates the infant's ability to react against stimulus, showing the integrity and functionality of their spinal cord and even their neurologic pathway. So lagi niyo pong tatandaan that the presence of the magnet reflex is a positive sign that the newborn's neurological functioning is healthy, and it typically fades as voluntary muscles develop control over the rest of their body. Okay? So like I said, it indicates spinal cord integrity. Kapag tinulak mo yung paa ng bata, ay nakikipagtulakan po siya with their legs as well. Okay? So ito yung Moro reflex po. Pag nagugulat yung bata, if the baby is startled, they abduct their hands, feet, and even their head. Okay? So we also have what we call, this is what we call the Babinski reflex. We touch the newborn soles of the foot with an inverted letter J, and the newborn's toes will fan out. Okay? So Babinski reflex pag tawag natin dyan. And we also have what we call the magnet reflex. So dito po, the caregiver is applying pressure on the feet of the child, pinupush niya towards the baby, and then the baby repels that action. Tawag po natin dyan is the magnet reflex. The next topic that we will be discussing is what we call the crossed extension reflex. So dito po, when a newborn is lying on their back, so nakasupine position po yung bata, and one leg is extended. So ang gagawin natin, we will hold one foot of the child. Okay? So one leg is extended. If the sole of that extended foot is stimulated by a sharp object, kunwari yung kukumo or yung isang ball pen, so you try to stimulate it, the newborn will respond by raising their opposite leg as if to push away the irritant. So dito po, nakahiga yung bata, kukunin mo lang yung isang paa. I-irritate mo lang yung isang paa and you will see if the other leg will react or try to push away the hand irritating the feet. Okay? So this reflex is a protective mechanism that helps the infant respond to potential harm by reflexively shifting away the source of the discomfort. So kunwari kapag yung bata po ay nakagat ng lamok yung paa, will the other foot protect the foot that is bitten by the mosquito. So parang ganun po yung cross-extension reflex. Kung yung isang paa ba ay may stimulus, nasasaktan to, nagre-react ba yung isang paa? So yun yung tinitignan natin in the cross-extension reflex. So bakit po significant si cross-extension reflex? It indicates that the nervous system is functioning and that the spinal cord pathways for motor responses are intact. And this should be present on the first few months after birth, and they will gradually diminish as the child's voluntary motor control also develops. So mawawala din po yan after a few months of life. We also have what we call the trunk incurvating reflex. So lagi nyo pong tatandaan in the board exams, they call this the Galant reflex. Okay? So the Galant reflex, or what we call the trunk incurvating reflex, is observed when a newborn is placed in prone position. So nakadapa po yung bata. Okay? So the baby is lying on their stomach or they are nakadapa. and the paravertebral area or the sides of their spine is stroke. So ito po yung spine ng bata, isustroke mo po yung sides niya dito, okay, along the paravertebral area. And in response po, the baby will flex their trunk and swing their pelvis towards the side of the stimulus. So parang kikilitiin mo po yung back ng bata along the spine. So when you feel for the spine, if you feel mo po yung sa side ng spine ng bata, the child will, ay, parang nakikiliti siya. So parang ganun po yung titignan natin na positive trunk incurvating or positive gallant reflex. So bakit nga po kikilitiin natin yung bata? Bakit natin gustong mag-react si baby sa stimulus na yon? This reflex is important for assessing the spinal cord development, and it also helps the infant with future coordination and movement patterns such as crawling. Okay? So yung gallant reflex po, it disappears at around 4 to 6 months of age as the baby already starts to move with more voluntary movements. Okay? So we also have what we call the Landau reflex. Ang Landau reflex po natin is observed when a newborn is held in a prone position. So yung bata po again is nakabelly, nakadapa, okay, or they're lying on their bellies, and then ilalagay mo yung bata dito, okay, so parang nakadapa siya dito, parang naka-superman po siya. So ang gagawin ng bata is that the newborn will exhibit muscle tone by lifting their head or arcing their back and extending their arms and legs. So dito po parang nagsusuperman stance yung bata. Okay? Pag nilalagay mo po siya on your palms na ginaganito po yung bata, they will try to have the Superman position. So tawag po natin dyan is the Landau reflex. Okay, so let us look at the different reflexes. Ito po yung tinatawag natin na cross extension reflex. As you can see, the nurse is irritating one foot of the newborn. Tignan natin kung magre-react ba yung other feet ng bata. So the child reacts to the stimulus that is placed on the other foot. So tawag natin dyan is the cross extension reflex. We also have what we call the trunk incurvating reflex. So tignan nyo, no, tinatch nila yung side of the spine of the baby and then swinging the baby yung kanyang hips towards the touch. So para siyang nakikiliti, tawag natin dyan is the trunk incurvating reflex. We also have what we call the Landau reflex. So the baby is in belly down position or siya po ay naka-prone position with the hand supporting the trunk. As you can see, the baby extends his head, arches his back, and then straightens his extremities na para po siyang lumilipad. Tawag po natin dyan is the Landau reflex. We also have what we call the deep tendon reflex, or other name is the patellar reflex. So when a newborn's patella or kneecap is gently tapped with the fingertip, the newborn will involuntarily extend their leg or kick, and that is their response to the stimulus. So this reflex is a normal reflex, and it tests the integrity of the spinal cord and the peripheral nervous system. So it is a typical part of the newborn's neurological examination, and it will help assess the central nervous system functioning of our patient. Lagi niyong tatandaan po, a diminished or absent response of the deep tendon reflex may indicate a neurological concern and it should be reported to the doctor. So kung wala po tayong makitang deep tendon reflex sa ating pasyente, dapat po ay nire-report po natin sa doctor po natin, and that can be a cause of concern. We also have what we call the parachute reflex. So dito po, the parachute reflex is a protective reflex that appears around 8 to 9 months of age. So this is the only reflex po na hindi natin nakikita during the early infancy, at ito po ay nakikita lamang at the age of 8 to 9 months. So if a newborn is held in a prone position, naka-face down po siya, with their body being supported, their trunk being supported, and then suddenly nilower po natin yung bata, what will they do? They will extend their arms and legs outward as if preparing to break a fall or opening their parachute. Okay, so this reflex is a precursor to motor skills that aid in balance and postural control. So dito po, yung bata kapag suddenly nalolower po siya, ay brine-break niya yung fall na para po siyang nagpa-parachute. Kaya siya tinawag na parachute reflex. Alright, so this is what we call the deep tendon reflex. Anong gagawin is we tap the patella or the kneecap or using a finger or a reflex hammer, and then ang gagawin ng bata is magkikik po yan, that means that there is a positive deep tendon reflex. Pag absent po si deep tendon reflex, you have to report it to the doctor because this is a question of a spinal cord integrity at dapat malaman po yan ng ating resident on duty. We also have what we call the parachute reflex. So when the newborn in prone position with their trunk being supported, suddenly linower po natin sila, they will open their extremities as if to break the fall. Okay? So maraming klase pong parachute reflex po tayo. May forward parachute reflex. For when the baby drops, igaganon po siya. Meron din po tayong back parachute reflex. Pag pinush nyo po siya palikod, gaganon po yung kanyang kamay. And then meron din po tayong mga side parachute reflex. Okay? So nag-e-extend po yung mga extremities ng bata if they are suddenly lowered. Okay, so meron pong back parachute, side parachute. So those are what we call reflexes that we assess as part of the neurological assessments of the neonate. After learning the newborn reflexes, ang pag-aaralan naman po natin ngayon is the appearance of the neonate. Okay, so bakit siya importante na alam nyo ang appearance of the neonate? As future nurses and midwives, understanding the appearance of the neonate is crucial for you, especially that you will be involved in neonatal care. The physical characteristics of the neonate, such as skin color, can provide important insights into their health and their developmental status. So, importanteng alam nyo po ito, no, yung mga normal na appearance of the newborn, because by recognizing normal and abnormal features in the newborn's appearance, you, nurses and midwives, can provide a quick access to the baby's condition, identify potential concerns, and even take appropriate actions to ensure the infant's well-being. Okay? So, isa sa mga tinitignan po natin sa appearance of the newborn is what we call the skin color. Okay? So, the newborn's skin is a key indicator of their overall health. Kaya nga po tinitignan natin ang skin ng mga bata. And its appearance of the skin can reveal valuable information about the baby's circulatory system, respiratory status, and even their metabolic condition. So the skin color and other characteristics may undergo changes within the first few hours and even days of life, and it is important for you, future nurses and midwives, to be familiar with both the normal and abnormal variations in their skin. So ano ba yung mga changes in their skin? Excuse me. Number 1 po is what we call the ruddy complexion. Ito po yung normal na complexion ng mga bata. So dito po, most neonates have ruddy or reddish complexion, and that is because of the high concentration of RBC or red blood cells in their blood that is relative to their lack of subcutaneous fat. So dahil nga po sa maliit or manipis lang yung kanilang taba, at dahil nga po sa they have RBCs, mas nagiging visible po yun sa skin ng bata. And that's the reason why they have a ruddy or reddish appearance. Okay? So, the increase of their hematocrit level, or what we call the proportion of blood with their RBCs along with the plasma, will allow the blood vessels to be more visible throughout the skin. Kaya po, yung ruddy appearance nila ay nakikita natin as normal. Kasi nga po, lahat naman ng mga bata ay pinapanganak with less subcutaneous fats and increased RBC and hematocrit concentration. That's the reason why we see it generally in most patients that we handle that are normal or without any aberrations. Okay? So, pag ruddy or reddish yung color ng bata, it indicates good blood volume and circulation in the body of the baby. However, the redness may gradually subside, so pwedeng mawala din po yun as the baby adjusts to life outside of the womb and they already start to develop adipose tissues, mawawala na po yung reddish complexion ng mga bata. We also have what we call cyanosis. We're already very familiar with this. Cyanosis refers to a bluish discoloration or even a purplish tint on the skin of the baby, and it is often seen in the lips, in their hands, and even in their feet. So bakit po merong mga purplish or bluish discoloration on the skin of the baby? This occurs due to the immaturity of the neonatal circulation, which can cause inadequate oxygenation of the different tissues in the body, particularly in their peripheral regions. Gaya nga ng sinabi ko, dahil nga po sa the baby is hard up in adjusting from an intrauterine circulation using the placenta, the baby will now be using their own lungs to breathe. Kaya nga po, mahihirapan po siya during that time, and the baby's color will suffer because the circulatory system of the baby cannot yet supply the oxygen needs of the tissues of the periphery. Okay, kaya po meron po tayong bluish discoloration or what we call cyanosis. So we have acrocyanosis. We're already very familiar with this kasi napag-aralan po natin ito sa ating APGAR score. Ang acrocyanosis is a common temporary condition where the hands and feet of the neonate may appear blue for several hours or days after birth. And it is generally benign and resolves as the newborn's circulation matures. Okay, so bakit po merong acrocyanosis? Because the body is prioritizing the central circulation. Ibig sabihin po, the body is giving more priority to the brain, to the internal organs. Kaya po dito nagko-concentrate yung oxygenated blood because these are the vital organs of the baby, and hindi pa masyadong priority yung hands and feet because they do not contain the vital organs. Kaya po may acrocyanosis si baby. But as the circulation of the baby improves, mabibigyan na din po ng oxygen on the hands and feet, kaya po magkakaroon na po ng resolution or mare-resolve na po yung acrocyanosis. We also have other reasons bakit merong acrocyanosis. It may also be, in some cases, no, cyanosis can be caused by mucus blocking the airways, or it can also be because of heart conditions. Kaya dapat pag meron pong mga ganitong situation, you have to report this to the doctor. Okay? We also have what we call hyperbilirubinemia. Ang hyperbilirubinemia po refers to the increased level of bilirubin in the blood of the newborn, which occurs as a byproduct of the death or breakdown of the fetal RBC. So dito po, neonates, especially the preterm infants, they are prone to this condition because their livers are still maturing. Hindi pa po kasi develop yung kanilang liver and may not be fully sufficient at processing the excess bilirubin in the body. So ano po ang nangyayari when there is hyperbilirubinemia? It leads to jaundice. Okay? So when the bilirubin levels become too high, it can lead to jaundice, causing a yellowish discoloration of the skin of the baby and even their eyes, or what we call the sclera. So this is a common condition in newborns, particularly in the first few days of life. Okay? So lagi niyong tatandaan that we have to treat jaundice as much as possible, because if left untreated, the severe hyperbilirubinemia can cause complications on the baby such as kernicterus, which is a type of brain damage. So pwede pong yung too much bilirubin in the body of the baby can go to the brain and will lead to kernicterus, which will lead to brain damage. So dapat po, it is essential for us, midwives and nurses, to monitor the bilirubin levels of our patients and to treat them necessarily kapag nakikita na po natin that they have yellowish discoloration in the skin. So pwede na po tayong magbigay ng phototherapy or mag-breastfeeding to help the baby's body excrete this excess bilirubin. Okay? So yaman din lamang na napag-uusapan na po natin ang hyperbilirubinemia. Let us study how the baby develops hyperbilirubinemia, and let us also study the two types of jaundice. The first type of jaundice is what we call physiologic jaundice. Okay? So ito po yung normal na jaundice. Lagi niyong tatandaan, pag physiologic jaundice, this is what we call the normal jaundice. Okay? So physiologic jaundice is common and normal condition that is seen in many newborns, and it's typically appearing between the second to the third day of life. And it occurs because of the breakdown of fetal red blood cells or RBCs after birth. So dito po, pinapanganak kasi yung bata na meron pa siyang mga old RBC or mga old blood pa niya. So they will have to die para po makapaggawa ulit ng new RBCs yung bata on the second to the third day of life. So during that time na namatay po or nag-breakdown yung mga fetal RBCs, it leads to an increase in bilirubin level. So this type of jaundice, yung physiologic jaundice po natin is generally harmless. Kaya po siya tinawag na normal jaundice, and it resolves within the first week of life as the newborn's liver already starts to become more mature and they are better at processing the bilirubin na end product ng death of the RBC. So paano po ba nangyayari yung ating physiologic jaundice? Paano po nagkakaroon ng indirect bilirubin because of the RBC death? So ganito po yon. Indirect bilirubin is a byproduct of the breakdown or the hemolysis of the red blood cells. So lagi niyong tatandaan, kapag namatay po yung RBC, mapoproduce po si indirect bilirubin. So pag-aralan po natin yung process. So during the erythrolysis or the RBC breakdown, the RBC, lagi niyong tatandaan, contains heme, which is the iron-containing component of the blood, and also the globin, which is the protein part. So ang mangyayari, when RBCs break down, globin will be reused by the body, and then the heme will again be broken down. So si heme po is broken down into iron and prothrombin. So si iron po will be reused by the body kasi kailangan natin ng iron sa katawan to prevent anemia, and yung prothrombin po, the prothrombin is converted into indirect bilirubin, and it is also known as the unconjugated bilirubin. So lagi niyong tatandaan po na ang indirect bilirubin po is fat-soluble. Natutunaw po siya sa taba. Okay? So indirect bilirubin is fat-soluble, which means that it cannot be easily excreted by the body in its current form kasi nga po the neonates have less subcutaneous fats kaya wala pong tutunaw sa indirect bilirubin. So kailangan po na dahil hindi ma-excrete ng katawan yung bilirubin, we have to have a certain enzyme that will convert this indirect bilirubin na fat-soluble into water-soluble direct bilirubin. Okay? So yan po yung gagawin natin dapat. Okay, so when there is excess indirect bilirubin in the body of the baby, naiimbak po yun kasi hindi kayang ilabas ng bata, and this will now cause jaundice. So like I said, indirect bilirubin is fat-soluble and they cannot excrete this because they have immature liver which cannot produce yet what we call the glucuronil transferase. Ano ba kasi ang glucuronil transferase? Yung glucuronil transferase po, it is an enzyme that converts the indirect bilirubin, which is fat-soluble, to direct bilirubin, which is water-soluble. So mas madali na po bang i-metabolize or i-process ni baby yung direct bilirubin? Yes, because the direct bilirubin can be easily excreted in the feces or in the urine of the baby. Pero nga po, lagi niyong tatandaan, hindi kayang gawin ni baby yon because their liver is still immature. And because of the immaturity of the liver, they cannot yet produce the enzyme called the glucuronil transferase, and they cannot yet convert the indirect bilirubin to direct bilirubin. Kaya po nahihirapang ilabas ni baby yung kanyang excess bilirubin because they cannot yet convert the indirect bilirubin to direct bilirubin. Alright? What you learned a while ago is the normal jaundice. So let us also study what the abnormal jaundice is. So ito po yung tinatawag natin na pathologic jaundice, okay? So pathologic jaundice is an abnormal type of jaundice that typically appears within the first 24 hours of life. So unlike the physiologic jaundice po, which is common and resolves over time, dito po sa pathologic jaundice natin, it signals an underlying problem that needs medical attention. And it can occur due to a variety of factors such as liver abnormalities or anomalies, and other conditions that may result in excessive breakdown in the fetal RBC or neonatal RBC, I should say, and even hemolysis. Okay? So, ano yung mga causes ng ating pathologic jaundice? Number one is what we call hemolytic disorder, which is a condition that occurs from incompatibility of the blood of the mother and the baby. So nagpatayan po yung dugo ng nanay at yung baby in the fetus during the intrauterine life, kaya paglabas ng bata, ang dami po yung jaundice. Aside from that, there are also infections that may cause pathologic jaundice. Kunwari po ay mga hepatitis, okay, or sepsis. They can impair the liver's ability to process bilirubin if the baby has infections. And like I said, if there are congenital liver disorders, like kunwari meron siyang biliary atresia, or there are enzyme deficiencies, they can prevent proper bilirubin metabolism, leading to early and persistent jaundice. Kaya po kapag ang jaundice, nakikita natin within the first 24 hours, report to the doctor because that is an abnormal type of jaundice. But if the jaundice happens after 3 to 5 days, ito po ay physiologic jaundice and it is just because of the death of the RBC. Now, lagi niyong tatandaan or you have to watch out for kernicterus. So ano ba ang kernicterus? It is a severe and a life-threatening complication that can result from excessive levels of indirect bilirubin in the bloodstream of our patients. So lagi niyong tatandaan that if the bilirubin level exceeds 7 mg per 100 ml, there is a risk of unconjugated bilirubin which will cross the blood-brain barrier and be deposited in the brain. So maaari pong pumasok yung bilirubin sa utak ng bata and it can lead to permanent and neurologic damage. So ayaw po nating mangyari yon. So you have to watch out for signs of kernicterus by always assessing the levels of bilirubin in the blood of our patients. As mentioned earlier, we have to treat the jaundice so that we will prevent kernicterus in our patients. So anong gagawin natin? Number one is that we should early and frequently breastfeed our patients, okay? So breastfeeding helps to speed up the process of defecation, which is crucial for excreting the bilirubin levels from the baby. So ano pa? Maganda pong makuha ni baby yung colostrum or the first milk that is produced by the mother, and it acts as a natural laxative that also prevents frequent bowel movements para mailabas ni baby yung kanyang mga indirect bilirubin. Okay? So always remember that the more the newborn defecates, the more the bilirubin is eliminated, it will reduce the risk of reabsorption of the bilirubin into the bloodstream. So dapat po, we always make sure that we maintain the hydration of the baby and we encourage regular stools of the baby by aiding the mother to breastfeed the baby as frequently as she can. Aside from that, we also have to expose the baby to what we call Bililight therapy or phototherapy. Okay? So maganda po ang phototherapy because it uses blue light to break down the indirect bilirubin in the skin of the baby into a form that can be excreted in the urine and in the stool. So dito po, the Bililight or the sunlight will assist the immature liver in processing the bilirubin more effectively. So paano po ang gagawin natin if there is an order for the patient to receive Bililight therapy? Number one is that you have to check for the doctor's order and you have to ensure that the phototherapy procedure is ordered by the doctor, including specifications for kung gaano kalakas or yung intensity ng light or the duration. So that should be checked in the chart of the patient. Aside from that, we also have to use eye protection for the baby, which we call the Batman's suit. Okay? So the newborn's eyes and genitalia should be protected using soft gauze or a shield to prevent the potential damage of the UV light in these organs so that we prevent organ damage. Okay? So aside from that, you also have to remember to turn the infant from side to side every 2 hours. And then back to stomach naman po every 2 hours to ensure maximum exposure of the light to the different areas of the skin. So hindi lang po pwedeng nakahiga lang yung bata. You have to turn the baby from side to side and then from stomach to back. Dapat po exposed po all of the skin of the baby to facilitate yung atin pong excretion of the bilirubin. Aside from that, during the Bililight therapy, you have to hydrate the baby you have to feed the baby before and after phototherapy to maintain their hydration. Kasi po mainit yung ating Billy Light, as the treatment can increase water loss through the skin. And aside from that, you also have to monitor regularly the infant's temperature, their skin condition, and their bilirubin levels to ensure that the treatment is effective. And we also have to prevent complications. Pero pag nagawa mo na, if you already done early breastfeeding, you already performed phototherapy and Billy Light therapy, and the yellowish discoloration still persists, so severe jaundice na po siya, what we can do is perform exchange transfusion. So dito po, in cases of severe jaundice, where the bilirubin levels are critically high or even phototherapy is not effective, we can do exchange transfusion. So this involves the removal of the small amounts of the baby's blood, and then we replace it with fresh donor blood to reduce bilirubin levels rapidly. So dito po, ang gagawin ng doktor is the blood exchange happens in the umbilical blood vessels because they provide direct and efficient route to the baby. So ang gagawin po, the infant's blood, which is high in bilirubin, is slowly removed and replaced with a new bilirubin-free blood from the donor blood. Okay? So after the procedure po, kailangan lang natin i-monitor yung bilirubin levels ng bata along with their oxygen level and their overall health so that we prevent complications. So yun po yung mga gagawin nating treatment for jaundice. Number 1, early breastfeeding to stimulate defecation and urination kasi pwedeng makalabas doon yung bilirubin para hindi magka-kernicterus yung bata. We can also give phototherapy or Billy Light therapy to the baby so that the presence of those Billy Light can help break down the presence of bilirubin in the skin of the child. And lastly, kung may severe cases of jaundice, mag-exchange transfusion na po tayo where we remove small amounts of blood from the baby and then give new donor blood to the baby to reduce the bilirubin level. So you learned a while ago about the significance of cyanosis and even jaundice. Ngayon naman, let's learn about pallor in newborns, okay, and their causes and considerations of pallor. So always remember that pallor in newborns refers to an unusually pale appearance in the newborn. So mapusyaw po yung bata, which often indicates anemia or insufficient red blood cells in the baby that carries oxygenated blood throughout the body. So dapat po ay we learn to identify the causes of pallor for early intervention and to prevent further complications. So ano ba yung mga reasons why the baby may have pallor after delivery? Number 1 po is excessive blood loss due to cord cutting. Okay? So when there is premature or improper cutting of the umbilical cord, it can lead to significant blood loss which can contribute to anemia. So aside from that, always remember po no, that in your EINC, there should be delayed cord clamping to prevent anemia. So in your delayed cord clamping, we allow more blood to transfer from the placenta to the baby, and it can help reduce the risk of blood loss, and even anemia. So aside from that, another cause of pallor po in neonates is what we call inadequate blood flow from the cord at birth. So if there is a delay or obstruction in the blood flow from the placenta to the newborn during or shortly after birth, then the baby may not receive an adequate volume of blood, and that will lead to anemia or pallor. So maaari pong yung bata dahil hindi maganda yung blood flow ng dugo from the mother, from the placenta to the baby, kaya paglabas ng bata, siya ay merong pallor or anemia. Okay, so we also have number 3 reason is with what we call fetal maternal transfusion. So paano po nangyayari ito? So this occurs when the blood flows back from the fetus into the maternal circulation after birth, and ang mangyayari po is that there is a significant loss of blood volume from the fetus to the mother, which can cause the newborn to become pale and anemic. Okay? So aside from that, maaari din pong mayroong pallor or anemic po yung bata, anemic looking or pale, may paleness yung baby if there is low iron stores due to poor maternal nutrition. So kunwari yung nanay hindi masyadong kumain ng iron-rich foods, or the mother did not take in iron supplements during pregnancy. So, magkakaroon po ng paleness or anemia yung bata because of iron deficiency. So, always remember that newborns rely on the irons stored by the mother during pregnancy to build their own blood supply. So, pag meron pong poor maternal nutrition, especially if the mother has low iron intake, it can result in low iron stores in the newborn, which also leads to anemia and even pallor. Okay? So aside from that, another reason why the baby may have paleness is what we call ABO incompatibility or RH incompatibility. Ito po yung tinatawag na natin na blood incompatibility. So the mother's immune system may attack and destroy the fetus's blood during the time that the baby is still inside the womb of the mother. And because of this fight, nananalo po yung nanay, no? This leads to hemolytic anemia or RBC destruction, resulting in the pallor as seen in the baby because the blood of the mother is killing or destroying the blood of the baby. Okay, so these are the reasons why there is paleness or pallor po in our patients. And we also have possible internal bleeding. So yung pasyente po natin, meron po siyang paleness. We observe after delivery, that may be because of an internal hemorrhage due to trauma during delivery. So maaaring baka may na-fracture po yung bata at meron siyang internal bleeding, kaya po siya meron ding paleness na nakikita. Or it can also be because of clotting disorders, like for example, the vitamin K deficiency bleeding. So pwede pong nagdudugo pala yung baby inside the body, kaya po siya merong paleness or pallor. Okay? So newborns with internal bleeding can show signs of pallor along with makakakita ka po ng bruising or bleeding in their stools and in their vomitus. Okay? So pag nakakita po kayo ng bruises or hematoma or you see blood in the stool or blood in the vomit of the baby, you have to report to the doctor immediately. Okay? Because this can be a cause of concern for the doctor. Aside from that, pwede din pong magkaroon ng paleness or pallor yung bata if there is central nervous system damage or what we call the CNS damage. Okay? So kunwari merong severe birth trauma or merong hypoxia or lack of oxygen or there are neurologic injuries that can lead to central nervous system damage, ang makikita po natin dito is there is paleness accompanied by cyanosis. However, if you see a grayish discoloration in the newborn skin, it often indicates infection or what we call sepsis, which is a serious medical condition caused by the body's response to an infection, which leads to inflammation throughout the body. So kapag gray po yung skin ng bata, pwede pong ito ay sign ng infection. So you should report the gray color of the skin of the newborn to the doctor, because newborns are particularly vulnerable to infections because of their immature immune system, and sepsis can progress rapidly, so you have to report it immediately to the doctor. So sir, ano pa yung mga accompanying signs of infection along with the gray skin? We also have lethargy or irritability. That may also be a sign of infection, along with poor feeding or ayaw sumuso nung bata, or there is also unstable temperature, there is fever, or there is hypothermia. That is a sign of sepsis as well. And along with tachycardia or rapid heart rate, and also difficulty of breathing, these are all signs of possible sepsis. So you have to report it to the doctor along with the graying skin of the baby. We also have what we call the Harlequin sign. Ang Harlequin sign naman po, it is just a temporary skin condition that is seen in some newborns due to the immaturity of their circulatory system. So dito po, when a neonate lies on their side or the dependent side po may turn reddish while the upper side remains pale. And this is believed to be a result of the underdeveloped autonomic control of the blood flow, or meaning immature circulatory system of the neonate. Okay, so always remember that the Harlequin sign has no clinical significance. It has no clinical significance and it is considered normal and harmless, although it is unusual. It is transient and it can resolve when the baby is repositioned or when the baby tries to cry or move vigorously, mareredistribute na po yung blood, and then the Harlequin sign will already resolve on its own. So let us look at the picture of the Harlequin sign. As you can see, the dependent side is reddish while the other side is pale. So it has no clinical significance. It is not reportable to the doctor. Mawawala din yan if you just reposition the baby or if the baby starts to cry or move vigorously. And that concludes our recorded lecture for the subject Concepts in Pediatrics, at nawa ay marami kayong natutunan sa akin. Maraming salamat and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you!